Welcome to Kdainiai, the cucumber capital and the center of Lithuania. You will find Kdainiai district right in the middle of the country. It is the geographical center of Lithuania. To get to Kdainiai, you'll have to drive around 1.5 hours from the capital Vilnius and less than an hour from the second largest city Kaunas. The population of Kdainiai district reaches around 45,000 in 2021. Kėdainiai is a peculiar place. Despite being the actual center of Lithuania, it has a lot of international, multicultural things going on there. So let's start with the district capital Kdainiai to get to know it all. But first, a little bit of history, in order to understand the city better. Kėdainiai is one of the oldest cities in Lithuania. It was first mentioned in 14th century. Strategically located on the road between Kaunas and Riga and on Nevėžis riverside, it became a buzzing town. From 15th until 19th century, most of the time Kdainiai was ruled by Dukes Radvila, one of the richest and most influential families at the time. Thus, the city grew a lot and became a rich multicultural trade center. Speaking of religion, unlike most of Lithuania, which was Christian Catholic, Kėdainiai was one of the main centers of Protestant Church in the Grand Duchy of Lithuania, and you can still see a lot of its influence until today. The city also gave very good conditions for foreigners to come and work, so a lot of Jews, Polish, Russians, Germans, and even Scots formed local communities there from 17th century. At that time, Kėdainiai became one of the most multicultural cities in Lithuania. However, after later wars with Sweden, the city's growth slowed down. But today you can still see a lot of the city's golden age in its old town. If you want to know more history, you can visit the city's museum in the main Old Town Street, and situated inside an 18th century monastery building. There you can learn everything about Radvila family, see various exhibitions, and even this amazing 19th century English-made furniture set with exotic animal antlers that was awarded with a golden medal at the year 1900 World Fair in Paris. The set was bought by Count Henrykas Zabiela of Apytalaukis Manor house, and it was used there until the Second World War. Luckily, some of the set survived the war and was granted to the museum. The museum also has Lithuanian decorative crosses exhibition of 19th century famous wood sculptor Skinderskis. Lithuanian art of cross crafting is actually a part of UNESCO intangible cultural heritage. But let's leave the crosses to Šiauliai district video when we will talk about the Hill of Crosses. And now let's explore Kdainiai Old Town streets. One house catches attention with an interesting art installation. It is one of the Scottish merchant houses today used for art installations by a local artist who changes it every few years. There are more Scottish merchant houses further down the street at the Great Market Square. These cute 17th century houses were built by glass merchants. Now we are one of the main symbols of Kdainiai, and you can still find small stores selling local crafts inside. There are more of the Scottish houses around the square too. The Great Market Square itself is the place where all the major events take place in Kdainiai. Town Hall is also located here. Right behind it there is a large Protestant church built in the 17th century in Renaissance style. It was financed by Radvila family, who also built family mausoleum in the basement. Today it is a small museum where you can see their intricately decorated sarcophagi. Then from here we go through a small street to the Old Market Square. While the Great Market Square was surrounded by the Scottish settlers, this one was the center of the Jewish culture. In there is located Kdainiai synagogue complex, built between 18th century and 19th centuries. Today one of the buildings is used as the multicultural center, organizing tours, shows, concerts and other events. Speaking of events, Kdainiai is famous for its Broma Jazz Festival, usually held in August. Right next to the Old Market Square there even is a tiny street named after jazz. For some more culture, visit Janina Monkute Mark's Gallery Museum. She was 20th century Lithuanian-American painter and tapestry creator, where you can see some of her works as well as plenty of international modern art exhibitions throughout the year. One more spot worth mentioning in Kdainiai is the Central Park. It's one of the best places to hang out, and it was just freshly renovated. It is located at the park that used to belong to the magnificent Kdainiai estate, which unfortunately was bombed during the Second World War. At least the park is still here, and today it is very well taken care of. There are plenty of spaces to relax or do sports. There even is an outdoor cafe in the place where the manor house used to stand. And one more interesting thing at the other end of the park, the minaret tower. Where did that come from? The minaret was built in the end of 19th century by Kdainiai estate owner at the time, Edward Totelben, a Russian general. It was built to commemorate his participation in Russian-Turkish War, but the local legend claims that Totelben built it for his Turkish lover. And lastly, let's talk about the modern-day Kdainiai, the cucumber capital of Lithuania, which locals are so proud of. Kdainiai was known to grow a lot of cucumbers since the 16th century. But this has taken a whole new level these days. Kdainiai has the largest pickle company in Lithuania. You can even find their products in many Lithuanian stores abroad. But there is more. The city organizes Cucumber Festival every year in July, where you can find all sorts of things, from cucumber shampoo to ice cream. There also is a local store selling various cucumber products, and in some of the Old Town's restaurants you can try the cucumber ice cream. Really delicious, by the way. After seeing the city, let's explore what's around it. Probably the best place to start is the geographical center of Lithuania. Just a little bit northwest from Kdainiai, in the vast fields, you'll find a small park with stone sculpture marking the center. It's worth stopping by just so you can later say that you've been to the center of Lithuania. And is on the way to our next place to visit, Dotnuva Manor, or Academia as the locals calls it. It was built in 19th century together with a large beautiful park with a pond. But after the First World War it became Agriculture and Forestry Academy, and a new large building was built nearby. The old manor house was used for residential purposes of the staff. And so it is today. The manor house has apartments in it, and even at the time I was visiting there was one for sale. Such things are very rare in Lithuania, although the condition of the house is not a very good one. Anyway, for a casual visit, this is a very beautiful place to have a walk around. The house looks pretty right at the shore of a pond, and the park is taken care of by the academy. Another place in the district is a much larger park, taking up 125 hectares of land, named Skinderiškis Dendrological Park. Would you believe me if I told you that this whole place was created by just one man? Forest ranger Kęstutis Kaltenis, more than 40 years ago, started planting this large, beautiful park with a large variety of trees right next to his house, in a picturesque area by Šušvė River. Today there are more than 1,300 species of trees here, including many exotic plants too. The park is divided by geographical regions: Europe, Caucasia, Siberia, Central Asia, Far East Asia, and North America. But it is most famous for its magnolia tree collection. There are around 125 types of them in the park. The beautiful magnolia blooming season in April attracts crowds of visitors from all over Lithuania. The park also has plenty of picnic tables, kids' playground, sculptures, and a few lookout towers to see the views of the park and the river. However, in the end of summer, it is a little bit overgrown. Most likely the best time to visit would be in spring and early summer. Following the river further, you can find quite an interesting hanging bridge over it near Josvainiai village. It was built over the ruins of an old bridge, most likely destroyed during the war. One local I met there said that the old bridge was used by tanks during the war. Today the hanging bridge is used daily by locals to reach the village. Kdainiai district used to have many manor houses, but almost all of them are derelict or destroyed these days. One more such a shadow of previous beauty is Apytalaukis manor house, very close by to Kdainiai city. This is where the previously mentioned furniture with antlers came from. The manor house is still looking very beautiful from the outside, even in this state. It was built in 19th century in neo-Renaissance style, but after the Second World War it went to the hands of the Soviets, and all the interiors were destroyed to be replaced with boring painted walls, and was used as a foster home until the 2000s. Since that time, the question of its future is still stuck in a bureaucratic jungle. Hopefully one day we will find this beautiful house reborn. Now let's go to a very different place, the birthplace of Nobel Prize winner, poet and writer Czesław Miłosz. He and his family was Polish, but in his youth years we all lived in Kėdainiai village near Nevėžis river. One of his novels is called The Issa Valley. It is all about his childhood here. One more place to check out in the river valley is a village called Skinderiškis, where there is an observational deck and a campsite. Nearby there also is a hanging bridge over the river Nevėžis. And the last spot in Kdainiai district is Paberžė village. In there you can visit its small manor house, which today is the museum of year 1863 uprising. Village's wooden church was built in 19th century, and it is also a popular stop for pilgrims. There is a small church and folk art museum, also containing some of the wooden crosses created by Skinderskis that I mentioned earlier. Overall, Kdainiai seems to be a very nice place to visit if you want to see more of central Lithuania. And it surprised me how Kdainiai city history is so different from other cities around Lithuania, like Kaunas, for example, which is so nearby. I think that Kdainiai district is a very interesting place to travel to, even for a day trip. And it can be easily combined with other travel around Lithuania, since it's right in the middle. See you in Kdainiai district. Thanks for watching.